Hey Maverick Hunters, Zero here. We are 2 weeks into the new season, which is season 8, and that means it's time for Zero's Legend tier list. We're going to take a look at all of the legends on the roster, assign them a tier, and talk about why they belong on that tier, who they synergize with the most, and specifically this tier list will be focusing on who you should probably be solo queuing with in ranked. Currently, we're trying to get diamond. We're in plat 4. It's tough, coach. And a lot of the people in chat are saying, Zero, you could probably solo queue a lot better if you just didn't play Caustic. If you just play someone better than Caustic who could get you there easily, so you don't have to lean so much on your teammates. So while I understand the sentiment, we're playing Caustic. We're just going to play Caustic. I'm sorry, that's just what we do here. We play Caustic. So, nevertheless, I'm just going to talk about who can solo queue in ranked the best. In the weeks to come here on the channel, we're also going to have a new series called Breaking Apex, where we talk about, we take each legend, we talk about what we could do, tweaks, little adjustments here and there to perhaps bring that legend up to snuff, and in a theoretical attempt to make the pick rate even across the playing field. I know that would be difficult to do in reality, but we like theory crafting around here on the channel. And then we're going to take that character, that legend, and break them in half and make them a boss fight in like a mythic plus dungeon after 7 hours of raiding. That's what we're going to do. And if you don't understand that reference, it's okay. It's not like World of Warcraft has been out for 30 years. So before we get started, let's go ahead and switch on over to the tier list. Maestro, if you please. Get some music going. All right, cool. So let's get started here, man. Let's get started here, Maverick Hunters. Okay, so the first up is Bangalore. Remember, we're talking about solo queuing in rank, going from bronze all the way up to, I guess, Predator. But by the time you're Predator, you pretty much play anyone, right? So we'll just say from bronze to diamond, who can get you there pretty reliably on their own if you solo queue up, as well as having synergies as a team. So Bangalore, in this example, Bangalore is pretty S tier. Smoke your team, you smoke yourself. Her passive lets you run, and her ultimate really clears the way for you to make great rotations. Her alone lets you just make great rotations, smoke, get out, heal. A lot of movement coming out of Bangalore. Solo queuing as Bangalore is probably great. Bangalore is normally the legend, in my experience, that most players pick up when they start the game, as well as all her whole entire kit is just fantastic for solo queuing. There's not a bad spot that Bangalore doesn't fit in. She is the jack of all trades when it comes to team compositions. So I definitely recommend Bangalore for solo queuing. And the next up is Bloodhound. It appears all these are in alphabetical order. So these are going to be in alphabetical order. I didn't realize that till just now. That's totally fine. Next up is Bloodhound. Bloodhound's another one. Bloodhound can show you where everyone is, show you your team, how many enemies are nearby in the close vicinity. His ult lets them be super mobile, excuse me. And Bloodhound is just great for tracking, obviously. That one that got away, you want your kill points, you want to find out where everybody is, you want your KP quickly. Bloodhound is the one to pick. We're going to save Caustic for last. I want to be honest with the Caustic, but we're going to save Caustic for last. We're going to put Crypto in D tier here. Crypto, his abilities off the top aren't really great. He can't really do anything early game. Early game, he's kind of just, has no real abilities. Maybe you're Crypto and you land and you, like drop your drone out to just give your team a general idea of who's around, how many teams are around, whatever. That's cool, but you're like wasting time looting. And in a high-paced game like rank normally is, where you drop, hurry up and loot, and hurry up and get KP, Crypto's not really that great. In the higher tiers, Crypto is fine. If you're talking Masters or Predator, having a well-coordinated team with a Crypto can actually be devastating. Pushing into a crypto ult, going off, coordinating that with your team can be devastating. But for the purpose of this video, crypto is going to be D tier. We're also going to say Fuse for second to last too, since Fuse is brand new, a new kid on the block. Next is Gibby. Gibby is A tier. Gibby doesn't have mobility, but what he does bring to the table is protect your team during a resing faster. Most powerful ultimate in the game in terms of damage, devastation, and what it means to get hit by a Gibraltar ult. I mean, you can easily wipe a team with one Gibraltar ult, no question about it. And then Gibby's health pool, his longevity, makes you be able to take shots longer than you would if you were anybody else. So again, we're talking about Gibraltar's kit, his ability to protect, and his ability to be offensive when need be puts Gibraltar, in my opinion, in Class A to solo queue with. Now, Horizon recently got nerfed this season. Horizon's Q, her tactical, is not as good as it was previously. And for those who have played Horizon when she debuted versus how she is now, can definitely feel the impact of not being able to constantly just use your grav lift and get out of tight situations. That being said, being able to still move your team effectively, get high ground, and more importantly, get high ground, throw your ult down, and just nade the hell out of anyone caught in your ult is pretty effective. Now, most people are used to shooting the ult now. I know that took some time for the general player base to get used to. That still takes the firepower from the enemy squad from your team onto the ult for a short period of time for what it's worth. So I'm going to put Horizon at A as solo queuing. I feel like if Horizon last season would be S tiered because how quickly she could just move around and avoid damage and outplay and outmaneuver. But the nerf put her probably back at A tier. Again, being able to move your team and being able to move your team around and coordinate your ultimate with other legends like Gibraltar, like Fuse, like Caustic is great. So she works well with others, she plays well with others, and she moves her team effectively to high ground to keep them safe. So Horizon's definitely the best bet, and most teams are happy to have Horizon on their team. Next up is Lifeline. Lifeline is going to be B tier. Lifeline has a high skill ceiling, so being conscious of where to place the res shield is a big part of her kit. If you don't do that well or don't have practice with that, she can be a little difficult. And it's also hard to determine off top, starting off, where to be in terms of positioning as a Lifeline player. Are you a front line? Do you sit back a little bit? Are you in the middle? Where do you put yourself? And it's hard to feel that out starting off as a Lifeline in the lower ranks. So she has no way to escape, and oftentimes sometimes players are so eager to res their teammates, they don't really think about if it's the right thing to do. You're always trying to be a good teammate, you're always trying to do the right thing and help your team out, but that doesn't mean resing your teammate can always be great. So her getting stick to the res and then staying in that area where your teammate just went down may not always turn out well. Her drone doesn't heal that fast, respectively, and she has no way to really fast heal anymore. She does give her team a good loot advantage, but not as much as, say, a Loba would. Even though her care package does bring down heals, it does bring down some gold items, the timer is so high that it may not even be worth it. So simply just because she reses people faster and is mobile with the res, Lifeline just gets stuck to B tier. Again, experienced Lifeline players will put her at a higher tier, but we're talking about simply solo queuing from bronze to diamond. So Loba is E tier, unfortunately. Her oh man, what can I say about Loba? Aside from the fact that mechanically her tactical can be broken on some maps, I know currently we're playing on King's Canyon for ranks, so not as bad as, say, Olympus or World's Edge, but even so, the lag it takes for her movement when she lands with her Q, her tactical, she is just slowed. Doesn't really feel good. And then, yeah, she can bring loot to the table, but ultimately, if you're getting kills and you're working with your team, loot doesn't matter as much. Shield swapping, you should be constantly shield swapping, picking up ammo. You shouldn't really have a loot issue. She's fun to play regularly in pubs, but as far as rank goes, she doesn't really bring anything to the table. She's really selfish, ironically enough, even though she does give her team ample amount of loot. Um, Loba players have to lean on their gun mechanics and their aim to really compensate for her lack of uh, mobility and what she brings to the team. And I know, but Zero, she can get out of tight spaces, lack of mobility. I hear what you're saying. I understand, but you compare her mobility to other legends on this list, and they're nowhere near as effective as a Bangalore, a Bloodhound, a Horizon. They don't. It's not instant. It's not quick enough. It's not good enough. It is a mobile ability. I can't say it's not, but it's not good enough or quick enough to make it worth having in a tight situation. Usually, a Loba uses the Q to either move during rotations or to get the high ground. But there is no real situation where Loba is low on health and is getting aimed down and throw her Q, throw her bracelet good enough to really get out of that. And if she does and she lands, she's probably dead anyway because she's slowed. So I don't think she's even good enough to solo queue with. So I'm putting her in the EQ. Speaking of selfless legends, we have Mirage. Mirage, what can I say, man? Mirage doesn't do anything. Mirage doesn't do anything. Doesn't help his team. I mean, okay, maybe I'm being too harsh. We'll bring Mirage up a little bit. Solo queuing with Mirage is like, yeah, you get out of stuff. You can use your ultimate on a 1 minute cooldown and like go invisible and trick your team, but like trick the enemy team. But it doesn't really bring anything to the table as far as helping out your teammates. His res is invisible, but up close it's not that good. And he can respawn you invisible, but generally speaking, respawning in ranked means you just told the entire map where you are. And you're more likely to get pushed, especially on maps like Kings Canyon. So he's pretty selfish like Loba. Doesn't really bring anything to the table. And I'm sure Mirage players out there are pulling their hair out going, what do you mean? He's so good. He can distract. He can do this. Yeah, but look at his competition. Look at his competition. Again, we're talking about smoking, bombarding, protecting, moving. He doesn't do any of that. He doesn't really bring anything to the table to help out the team. So we're going to tuck Mirage nice comfortably on his E tier. Now, Octane, baby. I'm excited about this one. Octane is A tier now. Octane's A tier. Why is Octane A tier? The jump pads now are sick. Jump pads are sick. You go so far, jump so high with jump pads on a 1 minute cooldown. It's crazy. It's just crazy. You can cross large distances so quickly on his jump pad. And then as the Octane player, when you bounce off your jump pad, you have such great aim. Your accuracy is 100% when you ADS, slide off of it or whatever. It's great. It's just great. He can move anywhere. And then he heals himself. So the need to carry syringes as much isn't as high. If you play Octane in a little bit more, if you're a little more conservative with this Q, and even if you're not, he comes out of zone after running through zone. Perhaps you're doing a rotation through zone or whatever. Doesn't even sweat the damage. Just heals up himself and is on the move. So that makes him less dependent on items. It makes him less dependent on Lifeline. If you have a Lifeline player, just less dependent on health and more dependent on just being able to flank the team quicker, move the team faster, get them the high ground quicker. He's just great. And then the ability to just solo him, hit your stem, and juke out other players while you're hitting him with like a massive or a volt, because your speed is increased. He's just great, and he's a lot of fun. I mean, in terms of fun, and I know people play ranked, usually like masochists like me. I play ranked and get dunked on all the time, and it's just like, why do I do this to myself? Why do I put this through the torture? When I play Octane, I normally feel like, wow, I lost. I came in whatever, 4th place, 3rd place, 2nd place. But I had a lot of fun getting there, and I don't feel that with many of the other legends. Obviously, I have fun playing Caustic, whatever. But outside of that, playing Octane is just fun. It is the most fun you're going to have playing Apex. Highly recommend picking up Octane and having a great time with him. Next is Pathfinder. We're putting Pathfinder in B tier. Pathfinder is great. Scanning is important in ranked. Moving your team, not as fast as Octane or Horizon, but still fairly enough. Moving your team across long distances in a straight line is also great. and he can, near the end game, he can get you great positioning. Pathfinder's another great character that can flank easily and reposition and down someone. So, and the fact that you can put his, he gets rewarded for scanning, incentivizes a Pathfinder player to constantly use the survey beacons. The reason he is not on the same tier as Octane is because Octane's jump pad's always on a minute cooldown and can get you higher and farther quicker. So, yeah. So that's pretty much it. If he didn't have his ability to scan a beacon, it'd probably be C tier. But simply because he can look at the survey beacons and know what the next ring is, and get that valuable information, and then rotate with his abilities and his team as needed is super great. So I don't hate Pathfinder solo queue. I just don't think he brings as much to the table as the people in the tiers above him, in the legends and the tiers above. Rampart, baby girl. Understand, I love Rampart as a character. I love Rampart's lore. I love Rampart's styling. I love Rampart's voice lines. I love the character Rampart. But Rampart is not a good legend, and it sucks and it hurts. And I hope that when we do Breaking Apex Rampart Edition, we can talk about what we can do to make her better if she doesn't change between now and then. I want Rampart to be better, but when you're having a type of map or a type of setup that's constantly rotating and constantly moving around and constantly picking her stuff up, her tactical doesn't become as good. Sheila doesn't become as good, and I know. They made her field of view, I guess, or the rotation while she's on Sheila do 180 degrees. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. A character sitting still is a dead character. I mean, they practically give you all of the snipers you could possibly need at shipwreck. I mean, they're just there on the on the crow's nests, as I like to call them, on the platforms. She's just dead, man. She's just dead. And it's cool we got golden magazines, and it's cool we have the golden Spitfire this season. And that's all well and good, man. But like in a high pace, moving, repositioning, high ground, etc. I don't see Rampart bringing as much to the team as she could, as potential she has, and we'll talk about that during her Breaking Apex series. What she could do to be better. I don't think I think solo queuing as Rampart is going to be a tall order, very tall order. We're gonna pick Watson next. Watson. Watson. What do we do with Watson here? We're probably put Watson in C tier. Watson is great for the late game. Getting her to the late game is kind of tough. She lacks mobility, so she needs to lean on her teammates to get her there. But with the addition of Fuse to the game, Watson completely counters Fuse. If you watch my Fuse video, I talk about how Watson completely counters Fuse's kit and makes his kit blank. So having a Watson on your team is great for other reasons, but basically, you're not going to get busted into, you're not going to get bombed, you're not going to get grenaded. Fuse can't shoot his ult at you, and stacking ultimate accelerants and giving those to Watson just protect your team. People pushing into a Watson, much like pushing into a Caustic, are going to get hammered if you play it right. Watson players are very special players. Watson mains know how to hide the fences and then pop the fences when they need to. They're quick with it, or they stand in the doorway with the fences, wait till someone rushes and then moves out the way so the fence stuns them. So Watson has a lot of potential high skill ceiling. Again, late, higher ranks, late game and higher ranks, Watson is effective. It's just a matter of getting her there. She combos well with most legends. Obviously, legends that are defensive in nature are great with Watson. So if you put a Watson with a Rampart, for example, that's a great team. But solo queuing with Watson is hard if your team isn't willing to play along with the playstyle of Watson. So simply because her ultimate is readily available almost all the time with ultimate accelerants or otherwise, because the ultimate counters so many other legends, and because it charges shields when you're around it, she goes in C tier. Next we have Wraith. I mean, why do I even have to? Do you really have to ask why? Wraith is Wraith, man. Wraith is Wraith. Moves her whole team for free. Moves herself for free. Can climb walls higher in her tactical. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and try climbing airbase walls while in your tactical as Wraith. She can climb that high because she's moving faster. She moves faster. She's invulnerable. She can move through her portal and move her whole team for free out of tight situations when they're stuck. She knows when there's someone around by virtue of her just hearing the voices in her head when someone's aiming at her. Wraith can communicate that to the team. And her hitbox is tiny, man. Her crouch spam movement is sick. It's so hard to shoot a Wraith. It's so hard to shoot a Wraith, and that could be just, I don't think that's just me. I know it's not just me because they just increased her hitbox this patch. So don't tell me it's not me. Her damn hitbox had to be increased. That's how I know it's hard to shoot Wraith. Okay, it's very hard to shoot Wraith. So even though they didn't increase it to like a refrigerator, she's short, she's hard to hit. On top of her already abilities that make her invulnerable. Wraith is S tier. Wraith is S tier. Wraith is S tier. I don't have to say it anymore. We're just gonna move along. Revenant is A tier, and Revenant is A tier for several reasons. I know the Legends already in A tier, do high amounts of damage, and are immobile. But Revenant lets you push for free. Revenant can reposition himself to get the high ground and climb higher and faster. So that's kind of like that's a movement ability. And he could also silence, which lasts what feels like an eternity. Silencing a Wraith, silencing an Octane, silencing a Caustic is a death sentence. They're just dead. That's it. They're just dead. And the free push mechanic combined with, say, Octane is sick. By himself, Revenant being able to say, hey, team, let me put my totem here and let's push a good distance to get where we got to go, it's a free push. So either you get the kill, damage them, and kill them, or you just get teleported back and you get to rethink about your strategy. And again, combined with Octane, Pathfinder, and other high mobile legends, you can get there quicker and deal more damage longer with, just be careless with it and be insane, and it's free. So Revenant being able to silence, move his team for a free push on a low cooldown, and then reposition himself quietly to get the positioning advantage on the target is fantastic. Also, one of my first videos I did here was the Revenant Strafe ability, and a lot of people don't talk about that, man. You put a shotgun and a Volt, or shotgun and an SMG in his hands and let him strafe left and right while crouched. It is sick. He moves so fast while crouched. Not only does it help with healing and moving and healing, but he can just outmaneuver a 1v1 easily just by crouching and strafing. That's it. Bang, like two massive crouch, switch crouch, and just strafe, and you're just not gonna get shot, man. It takes a little practice, but Revenant is deadly in the right hands. So Revenant is A tier for sure. Okay. Second to last is we have Fuse. Fuse can carry grenades for everyone. His ultimate does a lot of damage, pretty close to Gibraltar, in fact. Traps people in a tight space, and then he gets a free grenade that busts open doors and sticks and has all the properties of the grenades, all the grenades in the game put together. Solo queuing with Fuse. Let's see, where do we want to put him? Solo queuing with Fuse is about B tier. Yeah, solo queuing with Fuse is B tier. Why is it B tier? He does lots of damage quickly. He just lacks mobility. Is really what it is, and gets countered by Watson, straight up. So no other legend really in the game. Caustic, I guess, is the only legend in the game that just gets hard countered by Watson. But Fuse being able to shoot his ult at a long distance, his ultimate being able to zoom in into a really up close, impersonal sight picture, much like a Kraber. In fact, I compare it to a Kraber. is great. So even if you don't use the alt, it lets you get a better idea of who's where by just zooming in without even having to use the alt. Trapping them in a ring of fire and then dumping 10 nades on them, 8 to 10 nades on them for free is fantastic. And then having your team combo well. Fuse combos with Bangalore, he combos with Gibraltar, he combos with Horizon, he combos with let me see here, Crypto, he combos with Caustic. In a weird roundabout way, he kind of combos with the Rampart if you can get him to stand still while she shoots him and then forces him out of the ring. So he plays really well with others. And then again, his tactical can stick, guaranteed 50 damage, and then it can also break down doors for free without blowing your grenade inventory, which is great. So for the legends that have the camping strategy like Caustic and Watson, he can just break the door down without having to worry about actually pushing up to the door, which is great. If you can just bust the door down and start throwing nades in there, you'll learn quickly if there's people in there, 2, how well guarded it is, and just let you, with your game sense, get more information on what's going on, whatever you're trying to assault the building. So he's great indoors, he's great outdoors, he's great all around. But because he lacks mobility, he gets to hang out in the B tier. And finally, we have Caustic, man. And I'll put Caustic in the middle of the road next to Watson. As you'll notice, Watson and Caustic have very similar play styles. A lot of things they have in common. I have to mention that they keep wanting to neuter Caustic, man. And we talk about this often because I play Caustic. Caustic has mechanical issues that need to be addressed. He has bugs built into his kit that need to be fixed. And those issues, I feel, aren't being addressed for the sake of nerfing him to hell. That being said, Caustic isn't mobile at all. I have to depend on my teammates to move me, to help me get in position so I can set up. My gas traps are okay, but they're proactive and they're not reactive like they used to be. That's fine. And his ultimate takes a decent amount of time to just from the time I hit the button to the time it explodes. There's a good gap of time there for that to happen. So it almost sometimes feel like his ult is also proactive, not reactive, even though it's not as bad as the gas trap. So maybe it's more middle of the road and that's balanced. The damage of the gas is okay, but it's not going to win you the fight. And because the gas isn't blind anymore, Caustic really has to depend on positioning more, and Caustic has to depend on trap positioning and not necessarily getting them in the gas, but just disorienting them enough to get the drop on them and get the kill. I think I said that right, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. So for lack of mobility and utility, Caustic is going to go in the C tier. His gas can also pretty much hold a building down really well, and he can help his team out by forcing a team to reposition, just move. So most teammates are hit or miss as far as how they feel about having a Caustic on their team, but I think if you play with a Caustic teammate and you let that Caustic take over a building, let that Caustic push into and take over positioning, you're gonna have a good time. If you're constantly just kind of player that just wants to push and leave your Caustic behind, and you guys go down immediately, which often happens in ranked, it's not going to turn out too well. So have fun with your Caustic player because they're there to have a good time. And that's going to be it for the tier list today, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Give it a like if you liked the video. Give me a dislike if you think I do better. And please, as always, hit the subscribe button for more great content. Our next video is going to be the weapon tier list, which I'm looking forward to talk about. Talk about what I think about the 30-30 repeater overall. And we're live on Twitch 3 times a week. Hope to see you guys there. I've been Zero, you guys, Maverick Hunters. I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. To see more guides of gameplay, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. And don't forget, you can catch me live on Twitch by following the link in the description. I've been Zero, and you guys are the Maverick Hunters, and I'll see you all next time.